Hey, what's going on, my friends? This is Solomon. Today I'm going to talk to you about management secrets of the Marine Corps. As you all know, I was in the Marine Corps as a Marine officer, and there's some secrets that they use that just absolutely transform not only the processes and procedures that makes them a better organization, but also transforms the people in the organization, in the Marine Corps. So, and I'm going to share that to you today. I remember when I was going to the school at the Citadel in Charleston, I met a man by the name of Mr. Aucoin. And Mr. Aucoin he was wise, he was powerful, he was influential, inspirational. He was a great speaker. He was very, very, very wealthy, healthy. He was the entrepreneur of the year for the state of South Carolina. And he did this with a 6th grade level education. And I remember one day he invited me to his house for lunch. And he took a liking to me. We became very close. And I remember I had to ask him. I was in his house eating, and I asked him, I said, Mr. Aucoin, how did you do it? How did you become influential, inspirational, powerful, very wise? How did you become very wealthy? You're healthy, you have a beautiful family, you have politicians knocking down your door, asking you for your support. You became the entrepreneur of the year for the state of South Carolina. You give seminars. Every single day you talk to thousands of people. People are wanting to learn from you. How did you do it? And you did this with only a 6th grade level education. And he said, let me show you something, Solomon. Come with me. And we were walking through his house. We went to this room and he said, this is by far the most important room in my home. We open it up, and I'm curious, what the heck is the room? We opened up the door, and we went inside. And it was his office. And he said, Solomon, look around. What do you see? What's prominent in my office? And I said, Mr. Aucoin, it's obvious. Your library. I mean, he had books everywhere, and it was neatly organized. It was health, it was wealth, it was real estate, it was investments, it was the stock market, it was history, psychology, it was business. He had CDs, and during those times, there were tapes. I said, Mr. Aucoin, you have an incredible library. He said, the number one lesson I'm going to teach you in life is this, Solomon. Remember this. Wealthy people have big libraries. Poor people has big TVs. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not inviting this dude over to my house. I got a big ass TV. He'll figure me out real quick. And I remember he was continuing to he was teaching me his philosophy. He was feeding me his philosophy. And he says, remember this, Solomon, you're the average of the 5 people you're always with. I said, what do you mean, Mr. Aucoin? What does that mean? I don't know. I didn't understand these philosophies in this inspirational personal development talk. And he says, you're the average of the 5 people you're always with. He said, do you have 5 broke friends? I said, yes. He said, do you know them well? I said, very well. He says, I guarantee you're the 6th broke friend in that group. That made me realize, wow, the man is right. I got to surround myself with the man more often. Maybe I could get some of his millions, right? And he says, all because of the mindset, it's your mentality, it's your focus, it's your psychology. Remember this, Solomon, psychology is 90%, success is 90% psychology, 10% mechanics. He was trying to teach me his philosophy. And he said, remember this, Solomon. And he was trying, while I was with him and under his leadership and mentorship and his guidance, right? He was trying to teach me. He was trying to teach me about success and about philosophy. And then he says something that was absolutely profoundly impactful. He said, Solomon, remember this. What I'm going to teach you how to model human excellence by standing on the shoulders of giants. I said, Mr. Aucoin, what does that mean? I had no clue what he was talking about. And he said, just watch me, just observe me, just follow me and you'll understand. Well, unfortunately, while I was under his mentorship, I really didn't understand what that meant until I was stationed. I became a Marine Corps officer, and I was stationed at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, where I was responsible for training recruits to become United States Marines. And there's an incredible transformation that you can see from this recruit of, with all these limiting beliefs and being transformed into this United States Marine with confidence, with vigor, with discipline, with proficiency, with intelligence. And it's incredible to actually see the transformation. Someone who comes and grows up from the streets, or who lived in poverty, or who just wanted direction, is now someone of profound impact and discipline and vigor, and now leadership. And it was incredible to be able to be part of that transformation. And I was very, very, very fortunate. I was hand selected by the commanding general to become his protocol officer. And I'm telling you, this general was so dynamic and so powerful and magnetic, and people just gravitated to him. Every time we went anywhere, people would just flock around him. Phenomenal individual. His staff, we all loved the general. We were all influenced by the general. We would do anything for the general. I remember asking his aide, Dom, Dom, how is the general so magnetic, so profound, so powerful? How is he the way he is? Was he always like that? Is that just like a gene that you're born with? And he said, dude, the general will wake up every morning, like around 4 o'clock in the morning. And then he'll start reading. He'll read books on military history, on leadership, on success, on businesses. And he would just read and infiltrate his mind with this just personal development. And then he would exercise for 1 hour. And he would just exercise. And then he just prepares himself to overcome any of the challenges that he knows he's going to have to overcome. And I'm thinking, and then he says something that was absolutely shocking. He said, dude, while you're on your 10th dream, the general just got his second wind. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that's what it is. The general works on his craft. He practices his craft. That's why he's so magnetic and powerful and influential, sophisticated and wise. And that's why he became a general. He works on his craft of leadership, of influence, of persuasion, of psychology, of people. But here's the number one lesson that I learned from General Bailey. Is that the greatest gift that you can give to your family, your friends, your Marines, your loved ones, is the gift of your own personal and professional development. From that point forward, I started waking up earlier. From that point forward, I started reading the books, and I started really changing my psychology. The next person who had such an incredible, powerful impact in my life, who taught me how to become a dynamic manager, was Colonel Hunifield. And Colonel Hunifield, he had about 40 years he had 40 years of experience in the Marine Corps. And his psychology, he was what I call a dynamic manager. And I was so fortunate to actually be next to him, to see him in action. He was like the master puppeteer. He knew exactly what to do, how to do it, with who to do it. I mean, he had everything under control. It was amazing to see him at work. Here's what Colonel Hunifield told me. He taught me the psychology of influence. He taught me persuasion. He taught me the psychology of effectively managing resources and personnel. The colonel taught me well. Here's what I learned from the colonel. All dynamic managers have a strict, severe case of PTSD. What do I mean? P, they understand how to improve processes, how to implement procedures, and how to train their personnel. T, they're consistently training their personnel, both personally and professionally. S, strict supervision is the key to effective management and leadership. D, this is what separates the mediocre, the average managers and leaders from the most dynamic, profound managers and leaders. And what he taught me was how to become a dynamic disruptor. What do I mean? You see, disruption leads to innovation. Innovation leads to technology. Technology is what helps improve processes, procedures, and personnel. The colonel taught me well. Unbelievable. The experience that I was able to just being around him for 2 years, and the experience that I've learned from him, I grew exponentially as a leader and as a manager based on what he taught me. And I'm forever grateful. Then there was the General Yu, who I was the aide de camp for. I was hand selected. He hand selected me to be his aide. And I remember the first, and General Yu he was so incredibly powerful, mighty, just magnetic, just a beautiful person, just a great person, strong, mentally, psychology. He was a reconnaissance Marine. I remember the first day that I was his aide, he tasked me to complete a report. And I'm telling you right now, I gave 100% of my time, effort, and energy in making sure that this report was 100% accurate and to meet his standards. And I worked on it all day long. And I remember going to the general. I was going to his office, and I had the report in the folder, and I said, "General, here's your report." And he took the report, opened up the folder, 2 seconds, looked at it, closed the folder, and looked at me and said, "Solomon, is this the best that you can do?" And I looked at the general, and I said, No, General. And I grabbed the report. Now I'm starting to get a little fear. Now I'm starting to get a little worried. No, General, I could do a lot better. And I walked away. "Excuse me, General." I walked away, walked out of his office. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, the general's probably thinking that I'm the worst captain. The general's probably thinking that I'm the worst person ever in this world, that he's regretting that he picked me as an aide de camp. Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Then I looked at the paper, and there was no pen changes. And I'm thinking, what am I supposed to change? What's wrong with it? Oh my God, I started getting even more nervous, and then I started nervous. But I'm telling you right now, that night, I worked on that report all night long. I turned that one-page report into 25 pages. I started coming up with some creative ideas and quotes from previous generals. And I don't know what I put in it, but it was flavorful. I'm telling you, because I knew the general was spooky smart, very, very spooky smart, right? And so I worked on it all night. I'm telling you, I gave 10,000% of my time, effort, and energy in preparing this report. All night long, I worked on it. And I remember that morning, this time I was scared. But you can't show the general that you're scared. So so I went to the general, knocked on his door, went to him. I said, "And General," I had to cover it with a deeper voice, right? Because you can't show the general that you're afraid, right? You're his aide de camp. So I said, "General, here's your report." He looked at me, grabbed the report, opened up the folder, looked at it. 2 seconds again. Closed it. And then he gave it to me. He said, "Solomon, Is that the best?